unprecedentedly difficult moment in American history. We have a president who is not only, and it gives me no pleasure to say this, who is not only a pathological liar, but who is running one of the most corrupt administrations in the history of our country. We are facing an existential threat in terms of climate change. We have more income and wealth inequality today than at any time since the 1920s. We have a political system which allows billionaires to buy elections, while at the same time, half of the people in this country are living paycheck to paycheck, wondering how they're going to be able to put food on the table, go to the doctor, or get their car repaired if it breaks down. This is the moment in American history where we need to stand up to the corporate elite, who, by the way, and the 1%, who over the last 30 years have seen a $21 trillion increase in their wealth, while the bottom half of Americans have actually seen a decline in their wealth. This is the moment when the 99% have got to come together. We have got to reject Trump's desire to divide us up based on the color of our skin or where we were born. We have got to stand together around an agenda that works for all of us, not just the people on top. Now let me say to you something that I think no other candidate for president will tell you, or maybe ever has told you. And that is, here's the truth. You know, John Cusack said, tell the truth, let me tell you the truth. Here's the truth. No president, not Bernie Sanders or anybody else, can do it alone. That's right. Because we are taking on the extraordinary power of companies, drug companies, fossil fuel industries, military industrial complex, prison industrial complex, 1%, people who own the media. They have incredible power. And what this campaign is about is not just beating Trump, as important as that is. It is transforming this country. And the only way we do it, the only way that real change in America has ever taken place, think about history, think about the labor movement of workers coming together to fight for justice. Think about the women's movement, women and their male allies coming together. Think about the civil rights movement and the great Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., whose birthday we celebrate on Monday. And what King understood, one of the great leaders in American history, is that you can't just do it from the top. He was an organizer, millions of people standing up for racial justice. Think about the gay movement and the gay community standing up, fighting back with their straight allies. Think about the environmental movement. Young people all over this planet fighting back. So what this campaign is about, it's about beating Trump, yeah, but it's about more than that. It is about understanding that when we stand up by the millions and demand economic justice, social justice, that kind of, a couple of hundred people. This is much bigger. But what I want to do is, if we can, take a few questions, if anybody has something. All right, I see a gentleman over there. We have some mics. Sam, we got a mic? All right, there's a mic coming. Raise your hand. Yeah. Okay, right there. Yeah. Hi. Hold the mic close to your mouth.
Hi.
Yes.
I was wondering, as president, what is your plan to get other major countries,
Good.
other
Good.
polluters, to buy in?
Okay, thank you very much, Dana. Obviously, we have to take care of our own business first. And that means taking on the fossil fuel industry in this country and transforming our own energy system. But as I said earlier, and as everybody knows, climate change is a global issue, not just an American issue. And what we need is leadership in this country, the most powerful country on earth, to speak to the people and the governments, but speak to the people in China, where they have huge pollution problems, terrible, in India, in Pakistan, in Russia, and all over this world. And here is, you want to hear a radical idea, guys? That maybe we convince the world, countries around the world, that instead of spending $1.8 trillion a year, weapons of destruction designed to kill each other, maybe we pool our resources and stand together against our common enemy, which is climate change. Okay, I see, yeah, right here, young lady right here, yeah.
Bernie.
Hold the mic to your mouth. Yep, that's better.
With so many people in the race for the Democratic nomination, as the field narrows, it's going to kind of, I think, turn to infighting. What's your strategy for keeping the movement going and keep building support
Good.
without attacking?
Good. Thank you very much. That's exactly what the American people want. Very often, and this saddens me very much, you know, we have a president who attacks the media every day, calls them fake news and enemies of the people, which is disgusting, which is trying to undermine American democracy. But do understand that media often wants and exaggerates conflict. All right? If I slipped on a banana peel here, that would be the major story in television. Sure, it would be. Not climate change, not healthcare, not education. So, you know, media has its shtick of what they want to do, we have ours. I think the best thing for all Democratic candidates, and what we're going to do in our campaign, is you heard me tonight. You didn't hear me say a word about any of the other candidates. We are going to focus on the issues of the working families of America and bring them together.
I got a mic here.
Oh, here's the mic, all right.
Hello. Thank you. Right now I'm currently a nursing student. I was just wondering how a single player plan would be beneficial for nurses and doctors.
Thank you. I'll tell you how. Everyone hear the question? First of all, thank you very much for going into nursing. We don't have enough nurses. Truthfully, we don't have enough doctors. We don't have enough teachers. And that's something we have got to deal with when together we are in the White House. Now, first of all, I am happy to tell you that the National Nurses Union, the largest nurses union in America, has endorsed our campaign. Because those nurses, and I think a majority of nurses, understand that in order to do their job as healthcare providers, we need a Medicare for all single-payer system. Now, how would you feel when you become a nurse? When somebody comes into the office and you find that that person is much sicker than he or she should be because they didn't have any health insurance and they couldn't get to the office when they should? How would you feel if that doctor wrote out a prescription and that person couldn't fill the prescription because the price of medicine is so outrageously up? What you would feel is, how are you doing your job? How can you do your job? The people are not coming into the office when they should, are not getting the kinds of therapies they need because they can't afford it. So I think when nurses understand, when more and more doctors understand their job, we need a system which says that anybody in America goes to the doctor or the nurse Tell us your name, tell us how old you are.
My name is Zoe. I'm 9, and my question is, as a child, since I can't vote yet, how can I help to get you elected?
Is your name Zoe? Okay. Well, Zoe, what you could do is, are you going to school around here? Okay. Well, what you can do is talk to kids your age and tell the kids to tell their parents that they should vote for you. Yeah, here's the mic coming.
There was an interesting article today released by New York Times about Clearview, which is a
About what?
Clearview, which is a facial recognition company
Yep.
that's being utilized. I'm wondering how, right now, it seems like it's us versus Silicon Valley, and I wonder how your cabinet and the presidency would be able to position themselves to have the government be innovative and work for our needs that you're expressing tonight.
We're talking about facial recognition.
In technology.
Yeah. All right, look, let's be clear about this one. Maybe I'm old-fashioned.
Right here.
Hold it 1 minute. Maybe I am old-fashioned and conservative. Not really. Privacy. Is in the last 20 or 30 years, there has been a mass technological assault on people's right to privacy. It is the government, it is the corporate world that knows everything that you have bought, probably knows how much money you got in the bank, where you're spending your money. Maybe they have your healthcare records, maybe they have your banking records. And the truth is that the Congress has been way behind this, lagging further behind this assault on our privacy. So we need to have a very serious discussion with the high-tech companies, whether it's Facebook or Google, whoever it may be, and begin the process, this is not easy stuff, of protecting the privacy of the American. You have a right to live your life without somebody knowing every damn thing that you have done. So that's a major issue. With the, yeah, way in the back there, yeah. Get the mic?
Yes, I do, thank you. I'm a teacher, actually my friend Adam over here is a teacher as well. Teaching our students about Iran and the issues we've had with the funding of Iraq and Saudi Arabia, etc. How do you plan to attack that issue now that people are in fear, and then how can we safely cut military spending and withdraw troops and not fund Saudi Arabia?
Look, foreign policy is a complicated and difficult issue. I don't have, and nobody has, any magical solutions, but this is what I do know. I know something that very few people will tell you who are running for office. It's kind of embarrassing, but you gotta say it. The two major foreign policy disasters of my lifetime were Vietnam and Iraq. Yep. In Vietnam, my generation, we lost 59,000 soldiers. And there is some evidence that we have lost tens of thousands more who came home from that war, got into drugs and despair and whatnot. And the damage done to Vietnam, we don't know how many hundreds of thousands or millions of people were killed in that war. We dropped more napalm and bombs on that country than any time in history. Total disaster. That war was based on a series of lies. The so-called Gulf of Tonkin resolution. It was a lie. We got into a war which did so much harm to our country, cost us so much money, so much pain all over Asia based on a lie. When I was a kid, I marched in the streets against Vietnam. That's what I did. Now, later in 2002, 2003, I wasn't a kid. I was a member of the United States Congress. And I can remember very distinctly the lies, the distortions of intelligence that came from Dick Cheney, came from Donald Rumsfeld, the Secretary of Defense, that came from the entire Bush administration. And they were saying, if we do not invade Iraq, if we don't get rid of Saddam Hussein, who was in fact a very bad guy, a murdering thug, but if we don't invade them, they will develop nuclear weapons or chemical weapons, which could be a disaster and hurt us in the United States. That was a lie. And as a result of those lies, invaded Iraq. 4,500 brave men and women died. America died in that war. Hundreds of thousands of Iraqis were killed. And right now, after 18 years of that war, 17, the Iraqi government voted a few weeks ago to throw the United States of America out of that country. A total waste, leading to massive destabilization in the region and so much pain. So to answer your question in a very general sense, as President of the United States, I will help lead the world to do everything possible to resolve international conflict through negotiations, not war.